I get no kick from champagne. Mere alcohol, it doesn't move me at all. So tell me, why should it be true that I get a kick out of you?
My name is Vishal. Thank you all for coming to this event, which is done by Raising Happy, which is something that I've founded. And today's seminar is the Raising Happy Men Seminar, and we've got John Worsfold, who will be the featured speaker.
Welcome to this room. I find it very hard to call it the John Worsfold room. It just doesn't sound or feel right. But talking about being happy, you know, look at this painting over here. Like, does that look like a happy man? You know, I'm running out into a grand final. That's that it was taken off a video of us running out for the grand final. So I should be happy running out. Why do I look so constipated? But the deal was, I knew in 2 hours' time, if we do everything right, I'll be happy. You know, so very focused. That painting down the back of the room, I don't know if anyone's had a look at it. I'm growing into it. That was painted straight after we'd won the 1992 Premiership. So do you reckon I was happy? Yeah? Okay, that's your assumption. That's your mental model about that. I'll tell you the facts. What do you reckon we did after we won the Premiership? We celebrated really hard, and then they said, you got to go and sit for 4 hours the next day. You reckon I was happy? No. Sit there and smile for 4 hours with a bad hangover. That was tough.
So basically, Raising Happy is an initiative to send the message out that maybe we should start thinking about the things that make us feel happy, or maybe we should condition our mindset into thinking about the things that make life a bit lighter. Mindset is something that we all have. We all have a mind, don't we? Getting ourselves in a mindset is the key to how we live our lives. Maybe we need to start preparing our minds for this mindset. Because often what we do is we hit the ground running. We think of an idea and go, that's it, I'm going to do that. I think the key to a mindset is to prepare your mindset. Does anyone know how to declutter their mind? What does that mean, decluttering? It means getting rid of stuff that's not really that important. So the first step of preparing ourselves for a mindset, we've got to declutter. We've got to get rid of stuff. We've got to get rid of all the stuff that's there. And I guess that's something that John is going to be talking about a bit later on, is retaining a positive mindset. Two
words I use a lot are mental models. And so I'll explain what they are to me, what they are to all of us. Mental models are our own values that we have, our values, our beliefs that we have, and assumptions that we make. And I talk a lot about those because Vishal talked a little bit about it earlier. We don't really know what we think sometimes. We don't really know what we want, and we don't sit down ever and think, what are my real values? Well, what are my beliefs about certain things? Occasionally they come up in conversation. So in a Western derby, if Sandylands knocks out Pritis, the Fremantle people say it's an accident because they're making assumptions that Big Sandy wouldn't do anything mean, and the West Coast supporters want him suspended for life because he's a giant, he shouldn't hit anyone smaller than himself. So we have mental models. So our mental models are shaped by our lives, our experiences, and pretty much everything, our upbringing, all those sort of things shape our mental models, but we very rarely reflect on them.
Men don't reflect, right? Because they tend to look at all the things they should have done, all the things that went wrong. When we're talking about reflecting, we're talking about reflecting on how we are thinking. Do I think I've been thinking a bit too negative? Yeah, I think I have been. Just gaining that self-awareness is a positive step.
I often used to try and reflect always on what my true mental models were when I was going into press conferences. The media love emotional reactions. So you imagine you play a close game against Sydney, maybe a final, maybe even a grand final. close game, both teams so evenly matched, and that's been proven over time. There's nothing between them. You go out and play brilliant footy against Sydney, and you're going to win or lose by a few points. And really, what's the difference in the way a game's played? Over 120 minutes, you end up 2 points down or 2 points up. What's the difference? Bit of luck, yeah. You lose by 2 points and you're in there miserable because you know the media are going to quiz you like you lost the game. You did things wrong. You made the wrong calls, you played players on the wrong opponents, made the wrong moves. When you could have done everything exactly the same and the siren goes a minute later and you're in front. But the media will challenge you. They want you to react. They want to see your disappointment. So what I always did, win or lose, spent 5 or so minutes reflecting, thinking and decluttering my mind. Get that stuff out. Get the disappointment out that we lost and think about what does it really mean. So we play a really big game against Sydney and lose by a couple of points, and I'd sit there and think, they're equal of us, we know that, and they're rated in the top 2 teams in the competition, so how good is that? How good is that? We're one of the best 2 teams in the competition because we can match it with Sydney on any given day. And we played pretty well. If we had played poorly, we would have got beaten by 30 points. We play well and we're in the game. We're a big chance to win. So you go to your press conference and the media say, well, you must be disappointed with that. You know, and you sit there and you smile and you say, well, I thought we went all right. And they look at you like you're a lunatic because they've got different mental models. Their mental models are, we want a story to write, we want a headline. My mental models were, we're trying to be one of the best teams in the competition and we played like that today, so I'm pretty happy. We're disappointed to lose, but we played pretty well. That's what I've learned over the last 15 years. 12 of those years I was senior coach of the Eagles. I didn't think that way when I started coaching the Eagles, and I've learnt that over that period of time through those experiences and through some personal development that I've done around why we think the way we do. Why do people think differently, and why can it be frustrating when you're so clear in your head about something and someone will argue with you till they're black and blue in the face and you just can't work out how your argument isn't getting through to them. And I've got one other example I use with mental models. My mate Phil Walsh, that passed away coaching Adelaide, very intense man, and he was loving his coaching, but he understood that he needed to have a release away from coaching. So he had a good mate that rang him every week and said, have you been for a surf this week? And Walshy had to be accountable to that. So Walshy's mental model was, I need to have some balance in my life. I can't just keep turning up at work at 5 a.m. and knocking off at 7 p.m. I need to have some downtime. And he asked his mate, he said, I think surfing's what I love, like fishing. That's what I really love doing. I think I should surf at least once a week. So his mate would ring him, how many surfs have you had this week? And he had to answer honestly, every week. And if he hadn't had one, when are you going to fit it in? You have to make time. So he went to a trusted friend and said, here's one of my mental models. Will you hold me accountable to that?
The next thing is implementation. How do we get this mind to work the way we want it to work? And that can sometimes be a bit of a tricky thing, because getting our minds to work the way we want it to work involves change. And as we get older, and particularly men, we don't like to change. We like things to stay the same. Our minds are resistant to change. So we can declutter. You could get the decluttering right. You could get the reflecting right, but guess what you're going to get wrong? The implementation, because there's that resistance to change. So basically, the most important thing is to identify, okay, well, what are the barriers to change here? Okay, what are my bad habits? What am I doing? Am I working long hours? We spend most of our time at work, right? So where's our mind? Mostly at work. How many, put your hands up if when you get home, you've left your brain at work. It's still working, but your spiritual self has come home and you're walking and you go, my spiritual self is here Don't talk to me, because my brain is over there and I choose not to listen.
I've been based in Adelaide for the last nearly 3 months, away from my family a fair bit. I think I've only been back in Perth for maybe 6 or 7 days in the last 3 months. And I flew back this morning from Adelaide, so I finished there last night, flew in this morning. My kids were already at school. And I'd told my daughter, who's 11, I'll pick you up from school. Told her that last night, and she was very excited, and I was excited about seeing her. When you go to pick your daughter up, really, what would your mindset? What should it be? Especially when you haven't seen them for a few weeks. Should be pretty excited, you know. So you think you get stuck in the traffic jam and start cursing things. Oh, it's going to 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I've got to sit here. This is no good. Miserable. Hurry up. No one's concentrating. Who's holding it up? When really you should be sitting there saying, in 10 minutes I'm going to see my daughter, and you would have a smile on your face. You eventually get to see your daughter and you're frowning, and she gets in the car thinking her idea will be you'll be happy, ready to rapt to see her, and you're frowning just because you've been in the car for 10 more minutes. So mindset is a massive thing. It's so powerful.
If we want to have a crack at changing our mindset, we actually have to do the preparation work. We have to reflect, we have to declutter, and then we implement. Now, if you declutter and you reflect and you are able to implement, you are then ready to obtain a much more positive mindset, because you've created space for this positive stuff that you want to fit right in there.
So I'm going to talk a bit about what makes me happy. So again, assumptions people make. Well, anyone want to have a guess at what would make me happy? Winning, yeah. So it's a big assumption, winning. I'm a footy coach. Coaching teams are about winning. We think success is about winning. And that's a fair assumption to make. And there's no doubt I coached to try and help the team be successful and to win. The one thing that really annoys me is when the media will often say that teams, AFL coaches are putting winning ahead of player welfare. And look, from my personal point of view, that is so wrong. I would gladly give up wins if you said, hand your 2006 Premiership Cup back and you can wind the clock back where Ben Cousins will never touch an illicit drug and lives a healthy life. I would easily give it up. Easily. That would make me much happier to know that Ben Cousins hasn't gone through what he's gone through. I played in 2 premierships. Pretty good vintage in this room. Most of you remember them, eh? Unfortunately, I have to sign autographs or have photos with younger people these days, and they say, oh, you were my grandmother's favourite. Thanks, yeah. You're making me feel really old now. But out of those 2 premierships, what makes me happy? You know, the fact that I can go around saying I'm a premiership player, that doesn't really make me feel happy. But if Dean Kemp or Peter Matura or Glenn Jakovich, Peter Sumage, Brett Heddy or Michael Brennan or Tony Evans or any of those guys walked in this room now, that would make me happy, because we worked really hard together as a team. We had a vision together of what we wanted to achieve, and we all committed together to try and achieve it. And we were all loyal and respectful of each other, and we formed strong friendships. And I love seeing those guys. I love seeing what they're doing in life outside of footy, and just love talking to them. That makes me happy, the friendship. So not the fact that we don't need the Premiership Cup and we don't walk around with our Premiership medals in our pockets. We just see each other and remember the good times and the friendships we had. So that makes me happy. When I retired from coaching, and Matt Prittis, one of the great young players that I got to coach, he won the Best and Fairest award the year I retired. So at the Best and Fairest night, he gave a speech and he thanked me. And he didn't thank me for giving him the chance to play AFL footy, for recruiting him and then picking him and then helping him play in some big finals. He thanked me for the values that I'd taught him. And he said those values will be passed on to my family, my kids, and I'm indebted to you for that. do you think that made me happy? You know, that was unbelievable.
I get a kick